Hi, my name's Chris Croft, and this talk is about how to make money online. And I've got my top 10 tips for working out what to do to make money online. And then I'm going to tell you my top 10 tips for how then to do that. I've got some little pictures to help me remember what I'm going to say. And if you want to know any more about me and what I do, you can just go to chriscroft.com. You'll find everything there. I do know about making money online though, because that's what I live off. I do a certain amount of Zoom training. I charge about £800 an hour for Zoom training, so that's a great way to earn a living already. But I also make online videos, and I pretty much live off the income from my online videos. I have some on Udemy, and I have some on LinkedIn Learning. So you can check me out if you just go to Udemy, that's udemy.com. You can have a look at me on there, and you can have a look at how many I've sold and what the prices are, and you can do the numbers. So I've been doing this for a while. I've done some other things as well that have also made money online, which I'm going to tell you about as well. I've done about 4 different things which have all worked. So I'm pretty sure these tips will be helpful for you. So let's wade in with what to do. How could you make money online? And the first thing I would say is start with something that you're interested in, something that you like, maybe something that you're good at. Don't start with money. Don't think, oh, I reckon I could make money selling that. Because you might be right or you might not. But the problem is, if it's not something that you love, you probably won't be very keen on doing it. You probably won't be very good at it either. And in the end, you probably won't make money doing it. You have to start with something that you really like, because you'll do a better job then. And even if it works and you make money doing something that you're not really into, you won't be happy. You'll get bored. It's not a good way to live a life. Whereas if you can find something that you're interested in and that you like doing and make money from it, that's got to be great. So that's the first thing. Don't start with the money. Just ask yourself, what am I good at? What do I like doing? And if there's an intersection between good at and like, then that's the thing to look at. And then the next question then is it something that people would pay money for? But almost everything can be monetized. If you're good at it and you like doing it, there'll be some way probably to sell it. So that's what you should start with. This little diagram is an intersection of 4 circles. So it's, what am I good at? What do I like doing? What are people prepared to pay for? And then what can I earn a living doing? Okay, so that's the first thing. Don't start with the money. The next thing I've put with my 7 out of 10 is that you don't need to be an expert at whatever it is you're going to do. So don't worry about trying to be the world expert at something. You've got to be quite good at it, good enough at it, and you can learn to be 7 out of 10 at almost anything. So suppose you wanted to, cook food, cook burgers and sell them from a van. They don't have to be the best burgers in the world. They've just got to be pretty good, and you could learn to make good burgers. So anything you want to do, if you wanted to do time management training, you could learn to be good enough to be a time management trainer, or at least I could teach you, I'm sure. So don't worry about trying to be an expert. You've just got to be good enough to add value so that people will be happy to hire you. And that brings me to my third thing, which is USP. You don't have to be unique. There's this idea of a unique selling proposition, that somehow you've got to be different to everyone else. And that's really not true. If you think about your local curry restaurants, they're not unique, are they? None of them are unique. In fact, there's probably a whole street with about 5 of them, or certainly 2 or 3 in the same place. So when you're thinking about setting up a curry restaurant, you mustn't think, oh, I can't do it because the market's already saturated. There's room for one more, or at least there was when they put theirs in. So don't worry about trying to come up with something unique. You can do something that's the same as other people, providing you're doing it well and you're looking after the customers. Now, there might be some aspect of yours that's different. It might be higher quality in one area, or it might be slightly different. But even if it's exactly the same as somebody else, that's probably still okay if you do your marketing correctly, which we'll come to. So don't worry about being unique, and don't worry about being an expert. That's 2 bits of good news for you. Now, the next thing, when you're thinking about what can I sell online, I've got PS and I here, and the first one is product. So the least good thing to sell is a physical product. Suppose I was importing these and adding some money on and selling them. The problem with a product is you've got to buy it and you've got to send it through the post and you've got to keep them in stock, and then they go obsolete and there are quality problems, and selling products is not easy. Now there is Fulfilled by Amazon, FBA, isn't there, where in theory Amazon do all the work. But I know some people who do that, and I can tell you it's not easy, because you still have to order large quantities, probably from China, keep them in stock, you've got to store them somewhere. If you run out, it's a nightmare because it takes months to get the next lot, and then all your customers are screaming for it and you're out of stock, and Amazon don't like that. So I would not particularly recommend selling products unless there's a particular high value product that you are really interested in, maybe textiles from India or something like that. Then, it could be okay. But selling products would not be my ideal choice. The second thing would be to sell a service. So this is where, you might, in the physical world, you would do, let's say, window cleaning or something like that. But in the virtual world, your service might be, consultancy, say, or training. So I sell a service and I do my Zoom training. And that's much better than a product because I don't have to have any stock or anything. I just switch on my computer and I talk to an audience. So selling a service is better. But the best thing of all, if you can do it, is to sell information. So if you can sell ebooks that tell people how to do something, for example, then they're not really paying for an hour of your time like they are with training. They're paying for the information that's in that ebook. And that information could be really, really valuable. So training actually is a bit of a cross between these two, isn't it? Because it's a service we're providing, but they're also paying for the information you're going to give them. But if your service is something like video editing, that's fine, but you're always going to be limited by how many hours you can do. Whereas if you're selling information, it's kind of unlimited. And whatever you're doing with these, the more you can automate it, the better. So if you can have ebooks where people just click on a website and they order it and it just gets sent, then that's great because then it's passive for you. You don't have to do anything. And you could even automate the products. So if you had a website where people would go on, choose the color of t-shirt, choose the design they want or upload the design. I had an idea where people could have flags. So let's say you're from Bolivia and you want a red t-shirt with a Bolivian flag on. You could go to my website, choose the t-shirt, choose the flag, and then you just press send and it would be printed somewhere and sent to the person. And it would all be completely automated. And so I would be selling t-shirts with flags on while I sleep or while I'm on the beach. So you could have a product, perhaps, but it's much easier to sell a service or to sell information. Now, the next thing on my list is B2B versus B2C. So you probably know that B2B means business to business. And the big choice is between B2B and B2C, which is business to customer. So with B2C, you're selling to the public, you're selling to individual people, whereas B2B, you're selling to other businesses. And I would always recommend B2B because businesses are quite happy to spend large amounts of money for something that's good, whereas customers, it's really hard to get them to pay anything. Now, there are loads of exceptions. Of course, you can be selling things on Etsy or Instagram, and it can be little items and you can sell thousands of them. But generally, if you take, for example, negotiating training, if I do an open day and I say to the world, would any individuals like to learn about negotiating? And the cost of my half-day training course is going to be, let's say, $20. It's really difficult to get people to part with $20. Even if it's going to save them thousands of dollars on their house or their car, they won't part with $20. Whereas if you say to a company, it's £800 for an hour of training, you're going to have 20 people there, so it's only going to be 40 quid a head. They can immediately see that $800 is nothing compared to what they will save from the course. So for them, it's great value and they'll just do it. So you've only got to sell it to one company rather than to 20 individuals, and the company is much more likely to fork out the money. So generally, you want to be thinking about B2B. If you want to do photography, let's say, you want to be taking photographs for businesses, photographing business premises or business products for their brochures, for their websites. You don't want to be trying to do photography for individuals. It's really hard to get them to part with money. Weddings is about the only exception, but apart from that, trying to get people to pay is really difficult. So whatever it is, you want to go for B2B rather than B2C. One more example, if you're doing, say, video editing, you can do that for individuals, but it's much better to do it B2B if you can. I know it feels like it's going to be slightly more scary to sell to B2B, but even that is easier because you can find the names of your local businesses really easily. Usually they're quite professional about being sold to, whereas trying to sell to the public is just a nightmare. So B2B I would recommend.